A story about the house. Friends who often surf the internet should be familiar with the sound of marbles coming from upstairs that many people say. Some say it's the sound of something unclean and eyes falling to the ground. There is also a more scientific analysis that it is because there is a gap between the cement and steel bars in the building, and the thermal expansion and contraction caused by the temperature difference between day and night. The sound of rubbing against each other. Actually, it's a kind of earthbound spirit. This spirit is recorded in Japanese folk tales. Generally speaking, it is the undead who are bound to the place. Because of the geographical restrictions on the range of activities of people or other objects after death. And such undead spirits often have resentment and become evil spirits. In my opinion, earthbound spirits are diverse. Humans, animals, plants, and even inanimate matter can form earthbound spirits. For example, if there is an aura in the origin of metal and wood, then those metal and wood products absorb the aura and become half-life. When I'm at home, I often hear the sound of marbles on the floor upstairs. Or in other places you suddenly hear that it is a kind of earth-binding spirit. And it is also the lowest kind of earth-binding spirit. Everyone will have this kind of earth-binding spirit in their home. Or rather, it is the house god. They live in your home, live with you. And usually they may also send kindness to help you drive away the little ghosts. When they walk, they make such sounds, the sound of marbles bouncing on the ground. And their weak spiritual power can't make you hear it, so it can only make you feel like you're upstairs. When you sit quietly at home alone, sometimes a very empty voice suddenly sounds. I believe everyone should be familiar with it. Generally speaking, the formation of natural non-living spirits does not cause any harm to people. And it is usually enough to get out of the range of its activities when they are harassed by them. But there are many things in this world that we can't think of. Just like a person, we can see his appearance, but we can't see his bones and blood vessels. A house, we can only see its appearance, decoration, but we can't see what is in its walls. When you feel very aware that there has never been a murder in your house, and you feel at ease in your own house, have you ever thought that there may be a pair of sensen eyes watching you through the cold eaves floor upstairs or downstairs? The following is a different story told by the fellow who binds the spirits of the earth. After Atai arrived in Guangzhou in the past 8 years, with his strong body and honest character, he went from working as a porter on the construction site penniless to opening a grain and oil store in Shashong after having a small amount of savings. More than 20 years have passed in a blink of an eye. And although it is a small business, it has made some money over the years. Seeing that his son was about to marry his daughter-in-law, and the family of 3 was still renting a house in a crowded and chaotic urban village, Atai thought about using his savings for many years to provide for a house. It's just that seeing that the current housing prices are soaring day by day. If you buy a slightly decent community with the money in your hand, it is estimated that you can buy a living room at a square price. So Atai is idle every day, and he asks around if there are cheaper houses or second-hand buildings. Finally, a call from an agent on this day made Atai overjoyed, saying that there was a suitable house in Shashong North. But this house was not a community, but a fundraising house. So the price is cheap. The construction started in the 90s. And then somehow it was finished, and the real estate has been hot in the past 2 years. So some developers have invested in taking over the building to revitalize it. Atai Singh followed the intermediary to see the house. At a glance it is really good. Although the house is also in the village, but it is also a big door. A self-built building with 1 floor, although this kind of house is not as good looking as the community. But it is spacious and comfortable to live in. And the most important thing is that the asking price is not expensive. Soon, it has been almost 3 months since he moved into the new house. And after living in the new house, Atai always feels a strange feeling. But he can't say what it feels like, the huge room and bright windows, and the wide balcony, but he always feels a kind of panic, like being stuffed in the quilt and breathless. In the past, after a busy day's work, he usually went to bed until dawn after washing up when he got home. But since he moved into his new home, he has rarely had insomnia. At first, he thought it was because he hadn't adapted to his new environment. But gradually, he found something strange, although this place is in the middle of the village. It is inevitable that some food stalls or barbecue stalls are sold downstairs at night. And there is a lot of noise, but in the dead of night, Atai is often half asleep and half awake. And sometimes hears a burst of sound from upstairs. Da-da-da. It's like the sound of a small piece of something or a stone falling on the ground. Although the voice was small, it clearly tapped on Atai's eardrums. And slowly after a while, accompanied by the sound of marbles. Sometimes there is a sudden muffled sound, click, click, like the sound of a person's bones when they writhe. At first, Atai also thought that it might be the sound of the upstairs residents or his insomnia, poor spirit, and hallucinations when he was about to wake up. But after asking, it turned out that my son and wife had also heard about it. Atai then planned to find a time to report to the residents upstairs. But the upstairs had not been sold yet, and no one lived in it at all. Atai secretly felt a little chill in his heart, after all. People from the countryside would believe in that kind of thing. He quietly returned home to discuss with his wife. After all, it was a house bought with hard money. And he could only admit it when he encountered this matter. So, they asked someone to invite a master from their hometown. When the master came and entered the house, he looked left and right, and shook his head again and again. Said to Atai, "Your house is located in Feng Shui, the layout is very good, it belongs to the auspicious house. And it is beneficial to the people who live there. And I've seen the whole building and it's not unclean." After hearing this, Atai wondered in his heart, could it really be his own delusion? But my son and wife also said that they had heard strange noises. Although he was suspicious, Atai still believed the master's words. But he was still afraid that it would be unsafe, so he begged the master to fight another oil fire for him. A custom on the southern coast, which must be done when the new house is occupied. Which means to drive away ghosts and thank the gods, and then send the master back. Perhaps it really had a psychological effect, and Atai lived a quiet few days. But I can't think of it, the real weirdness is still to come. On this day, Atai closed the stall and went home as usual. During this time the business was good. And he often closed the stall very late to go home, and when he returned home, it was already a high light.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and put notification on to watch more videos. If you have similar experience, please comment and let me know your experience.